The prairie stretched endlessly under a fading sky, painted in amber and gold as the sun dipped behind the faraway mountains. The wind carried the scent of dust and sagebrush, whispering secrets of broken hearts and silent promises. She stumbled forward, her dress torn from the harshness of the journey, her chest heaving with desperation. "Please don't leave me here," she begged, her voice trembling, tears burning trails down her dirt-stained cheeks. Her small hands clutched at the letter pressed against her heart, the last piece of proof that her past had betrayed her. The cowboy stood a few paces away, his shadow long against the dying light, his head tilted low over eyes hardened by too many battles and too much loss. But something in her words pierced through his walls. He could have ridden away. It would have been easier, safer. But he didn't. Instead, he stepped forward, his boots sinking into the dry grass, his gloves reaching for her trembling frame. Without a word, he swept her into his arms, strong and unyielding, as though she weighed nothing at all. She gasped, startled, her face pressed against the worn fabric of his shirt that carried the scent of leather, dust, and gunpowder. His heart beat steady and sure against her ear. He didn't ask questions. He didn't demand explanations. He simply carried her, his steps purposeful, his jaw set with a promise he hadn't spoken aloud. The land was merciless, miles upon miles of prairie stretching out before them, a place where many had been lost and forgotten. She knew too well that being left there would mean certain death, not just of the body but of the spirit. Every time she thought she couldn't hold on, every time her sobs broke the silence of the plains, he adjusted his hold, tightening his arms around her as though daring the world to try and take her from him. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered once, her voice raw, carried away by the prairie winds. His reply was simple, his tone like iron and fire. "Because walking away from you ain't an option." Those words sank deep into her heart, stronger than any vow she had ever heard. He didn't look back, not once, though behind them was a trail of pain, betrayal, and danger that still hunted them both. She felt it in the way his eyes scanned the horizon, always searching, always prepared, as though he knew the past wasn't done with them. Yet he carried her forward, across the endless fields, as though the strength of his will alone could carve a new destiny. The night fell around them, stars scattering the sky like silver dust, and still he carried her. Her tears dried against his shirt, her body too weak to move. But in his arms, she felt safe, safer than she had in years. Every steady step reminded her that even in the loneliest, most broken places, there could still be hope. She wanted to tell him that he was her savior, that he had rescued not just her body but her very soul. But the words caught in her throat. He didn't need them. Anyway, the fire in his eyes said he already knew. When the first light of dawn broke, painting the prairie in pink and gold, he finally stopped at a ridge overlooking a valley below. There was no fear in his stance, no hesitation. She realized then that this man was not just carrying her across the land, he was carrying her into a future she had never thought possible. The wind tugged at her hair, the letter still clutched tightly against her chest, and she whispered, almost too softly, "You didn't look back." His arms tightened around her, his voice rough but steady. "A man don't look back when he knows what he's holding is worth more than anything he left behind." Her heart swelled, breaking free of the chains that had bound it for so long. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Storms would come, enemies would rise, and the prairie was full of shadows. But she also knew this cowboy would never let her fall, never let her face the darkness alone. In his arms, the world could burn, and she would still feel safe. And so, with the prairie stretching wide and wild before them, and the weight of her past left behind in the dust, she laid her head against his chest, letting his strength become her anchor. The story of that night became more than survival. It became a tale of defiance, of a woman who begged not to be left behind, and a cowboy who swore with his every breath that he never would. Together, they vanished into the horizon, where the dawn of a new life waited. And not once did he look back. If this story moved your heart, if you felt the power of love, strength, and devotion in the wild prairie, then stay with us for more. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another tale that reminds you, no matter how broken life seems, there's always a cowboy willing to carry you through the storm.